win the Stanley Cup, and add one NHL legend to your franchise? Well, I guess to start things off, we are going to have the Toronto Maple Leafs winning the Stanley Cup as they defeat Dallas in a Game 7 do or die. So what team are we going to be choosing from, and what NHL legend will we be adding to the Toronto Maple Leafs? And starting off, it is going to be not the Utah Hockey Club, but the Vancouver Canucks. Mostly because Utah does not have any all-time NHL legends, obviously. Now, there is a few options available, Roberto Luongo being the best one at a 91 overall. I don't think we're going to take the Sedin sisters. That is not what Toronto needs. Marcus Naslin's only an 89. So I think it's time to make a little bit of a trade. Joseph Wall for Bobby Lou, straight up, as Roberto Luongo is the newest member of the Toronto Maple Leafs. They just got a lot better. Now adding a 91 overall goaltender in the form of Bobby Lou, one of the best goalies of all time, one of the most consistent goaltenders of all time, and now the Maple Leafs probably have the best goaltending tandem in the entire NHL. The Tampa Bay Lightning will win the President's Trophy, 53-win season. Somehow Minnesota was actually decent, Edmonton in the top 3, Colorado. The Toronto Maple Leafs, 8th best team in the league, just added in a 91 overall Bobby Lou, and they didn't really improve that much regular season-wise, but who knows, maybe, just maybe, they are a playoff team now. The most underrated player in the National Hockey League today is Braden Point, and he's going to have the most points out of any player at 124. Matthews had 123, Nikita Kucherov 118, Nylander was great on Toronto, McDavid only had 109. Goal-wise, Matthews will have the most at 58, Braden Point had 53, McDavid 51, Kaprizov, Macklin Celebrini as a goddamn rookie had 42 goals. The man's only an 88 overall. Vasilevsky had the most wins at 43, and the most shutouts will go to Joey Daccord, who had 8. Basically, I want to fill up the NHL with the most legends possible. I want them to retake over the National Hockey League. The playoffs yet again. Can the Toronto Maple Leafs go back-to-back, or will we have a brand new champion? Minnesota might straight up upset the Washington Capitals in the Cup Finals, one victory away from winning Lord Stanley. And there it is, the Minnesota Wild will be the first Stanley Cup champions that we actually get to watch and see as they defeat the Capitals in 6 games in the finals. Definitely an upset. I mean, they were a top 5 team in the league, I'm pretty sure. They had a great regular season, had a great postseason, and now in Washington in Game 6, we are going to witness Kirill Kaprizov win the Conn Smythe with 14 goals and 31 points. Also being able to see Jared Spurgeon, the captain of the Wild, and just a Minnesota Wild player in general, raise the Stanley Cup, as they've been pretty much poverty since coming into the National Hockey League, but now they're going to grab a nice legend to their resume. And of course, how can we forget a Stanley Cup? Kirill, of course, was the best player in the postseason, 14 goals, 31 points. Marco Rossi, the young man, the small man, had 28 points in the playoffs. He's going to want an absolute bag of a deal. Ovi had 23. Dylan Strome was good for Washington. Zuccarello definitely chipped in, but I have a feeling Philip Gustafsson, Dylan Strome chipped in, as well as Matt Zuccarello. Artemi Panarin wasn't bad, but I have a feeling Philip Gustafsson, the man, went 16-1-3 with 2 shutouts, and the dude had a 925 save percentage. Point is going to take home the Ted Lindsay, Art Ross, and Hart Trophy. Norris will go to Cale Makar. Obviously, Kaprizov won the Conn Smythe. Joey Daccord the Vezina, and for the Selke, it will go to Barkov. As we are now all here to witness the Minnesota Wild add an NHL legend to their franchise, and it's going to be one from the Anaheim Ducks alumni squad. Timo Solani would look nice alongside Kirill Kaprizov on that top line, or do we go with the back-end defenseman Scott Niedermayer, 93? We could also add Chris Pronger, Yari Curry is here, Ryan Miller, no thank you, J.S. Shagir, not a goddamn shot. I think the safe choice is to add more firepower up front with Kirill so they can produce way more offense. Timo Solani at a 92 overall, and now Mini is going to run out Kaprizov, Marco Rossi, and Timo Solani as their top line. They got a good second line as well with Eriksson Ek, Boldy, and Zuccarello. They might go back-to-back. Eventually, we're probably going to see a dynasty, or maybe we have a brand new champion every single season and nobody repeats. Toronto back on top of the NHL, 52-win season. They win the President's Trophy. They did not win the Cup last year. It was Minnesota, who honestly didn't even have that great of an individual season. The Toronto Maple Leafs will finish at the top of the NHL this season, 52 wins on the year. Tampa Bay came in second. We got Colorado in the top 3 and Minnesota in the top 7. I guess Toronto's trying to grab another legend considering theirs are not that historic compared to other franchises. I don't care. I said it. The Maple Leaf legends are absolutely overrated. Name me one top 10 player of all time time that is a Maple Leaf legend. You can't do it. Nikita Kucherov, most points in the NHL at 107, and we got Leon Draisaitl having the most at 56. Maybe the Oilers could squeak in a victory here, grab the cup, and maybe add another legend, or maybe even bring back one of their previous legends, considering a lot of them are on multiple franchises. Andrei Vasilevsky had the most wins yet again. This dude was insane. 46 wins, 10 shutouts, and a 928 save percentage. Dear God, Vasi. And now our Stanley Cup final matchup will be between the Dallas Stars and the Montreal Canadiens. Montreal trying to become that Canadian team that brings the cup back to Canada, but right now they got to focus on forcing a Game 7. Down 3-2 in the series. After the first period, we got no score. Second period, a 1-1 tie. Jamie Benn and Alex Carrier, as Tyler Seguin in the third will score on Montembeault, giving the Stars the advantage, and then Miro Heiskanen will extend that lead. It ain't looking good for the Habs. The Dallas Stars are like 5 minutes away from winning the Stanley Cup, and there it is, Jason Robertson, the final nail in the coffin. The Dallas Stars will not run into the Edmonton Oilers on the route to the Stanley Cup Finals, and in turn, they are going to get it done and beat Montreal in 6 games, winning Lord Stanley for the second time in their franchise history after making how many conference finals in the 2020s? I mean, it seems like they've been there pretty much every single season, but just cannot get over the hump. Montreal, a very inexperienced and young team. I'm honestly kind of shocked to see them make the Cup Finals, but regardless, they were there, good enough to be there. Mikko Rantanen, Conn Smythe winner. The guy had 8 goals, 25 points, and a Conn Smythe, and another Stanley Cup, his second of his career now. As the Dallas Stars are going to be the lucky ones, they're going to be able to spin the wheel after winning the Stanley Cup and grabbing one NHL legend to add to their current squad. Nick Suzuki actually led the postseason in scoring. The man had 27 points in only 23 games. Mikko Rantanen did all right. He obviously won the Conn Smythe. Cole Caulfield had 21. Honestly, low scoring. In the playoffs this season, I expected way more points to be on the board, but I guess we didn't have McDavid going to the Cup Finals. As Jake Ottinger, the man, posted a .931 save percentage. I'm just hoping the Stars don't get like a Mario Lemieux, Wayne Gretzky type player, because if they do, they might never lose again, and instead, they're probably going to get the absolute worst alumni team possible in the Minnesota Wild. Yeah, I gotta be honest, this is not a great catalog to choose from. Minnesota essentially has no legends in their NHL franchise's history. Nicholas Backstrom, I guess, is their all-time best player. Really, it should be Kirill Kaprizov, but I guess we're going to have to go with Owen Nolan. The man is an 87 overall power forward. Welcome to Dallas, I guess. Being a Minnesota Wild fan has to be tough. Definitely not the greatest NHL legend they could have gotten, but Owen Nolan at an 87 overall on the second line, I guess, is not terrible. That does kind of resort to Wyatt Johnston being a third-line center. I think I'm going to throw him up on the wing instead and then have Jamie Benn on the third line with Seguin and Evgeny Dadonov. And the legend, Owen Nolan, power forward, 27 years old. Shout out to the Minnesota Wild getting back to the top of the NHL, 54-win season. Toronto was second and the Edmonton Oilers third, while Dallas, maybe Owen Nolan actually cooked. Austin Matthews would end up having the most points at 114, and the most goals would go to Leon Draisaitl and William Nylander, both of which tying at 52. I need to start speedrunning Stanley Cup champions because we need to see more NHL legends currently active in the league. We got Toronto again. They're the first team in the video to win multiple Stanley Cups, and they're going to be hitting the wheel. The only bad news was they beat my Edmonton Oilers in the Stanley Cup Finals, which of course obviously hurts me. And oh my god, no, speaking of Edmonton, they are going to be choosing one legend from that alumni team. Arguably the best alumni team in the entire game, but of course Wayne Gretzky's got to be the pick. He's the greatest of all time, 98 overall, and add him to the Toronto Maple Leafs. That one hurts, I'm not going to lie. Honestly, the Leafs might be the first dynasty of this video. Wayne Gretzky at a 98 overall, centering a line between William Nylander and John Tavares. Fuck that. We're throwing Matthews up on the top line. 98, 95, and 93. Johnny T can be the second line center. 58, 17, and 7. Dear God, we might have just created a monster. Best team in the National Hockey League. We got Florida being up there with 50 wins. Tampa Bay, Minnesota wasn't really that great. Well, safe to say Gretzky definitely had a goddamn impact. 52 goals, 141 points. The man was completely otherworldly. We got Matthews, who had 135, Nylander 132, and the greatest offense of all time pretty much in NHL history. They were the top 3-point scorers in the entire NHL. For goals, Matthews and Wayne both tied at 52. The Minnesota Wild are going to quickly dethrone the Toronto Maple Leafs in a 5-game series. They absolutely, utterly dominated them, I'm not going to lie. Despite having the greatest offense of all time, let's just take a look at this. Nylander with 14 goals, 38 points. Wayne had 13 and 35, and Austin Matthews had 13 and 32, and they did not win the Stanley Cup. So far, this has been pretty much a Toronto and Minnesota video, as again, the Wild, they're going to add another legend to their team, and it's going to be one from the Buffalo Sabres. Adding in Dominick Hasek at a 93 overall to Minnesota is probably the best option here. They got a good goaltender in Philip Gustafsson, who's an 88, but now they got one of the best goalies in the entire NHL and arguably the greatest goaltender of all time. 93 overall starter and an 88 overall backup. The Leafs dominant yet again, 59, 16, and 7, top of the National Hockey League. They barely even made the playoffs. 90 points, only 43 wins, even with a prime Dominick Hasek. How is that even, like, physically possible? Gretzky will have the most points in the league at 133 and the most goals at 55. Also, Dominick Hasek wasn't that great. He had 40 wins, which is nice. Only played 70 games. I don't know why I'm saying only, like that's not a lot of games. And then Thatcher Demko had the most shutouts at 8. We are literally living in a world where the Carolina Hurricanes are Stanley Cup champions over the Dallas Stars in Game 7. You know, if I was blind like Helen Keller, I probably wouldn't even believe this, to be honest. Mikko Rantanen, leading point scorer in the playoffs. The man had 29 points. Duchesne had 27. Jason Robertson, 26. Evan Bouchard played 20 games and had 22 points, leading the Edmonton Oilers. And there it is, your mom's a hoe. Basically the only point-per-game player on the Carolina Hurricanes. Wayne Gretzky is Wayne Gretzky. Quinn Hughes will take home the Norris, the Conn Smythe to Aho, the Vezina to Stuart Foreskin Skinner, and the Selke, of course, also to the greatest player of all time. So maybe now Carolina can get that legit #1 superstar that they have been glamoring for, as we are going to be taking a legend from the New Jersey Devils. Now, I don't know with getting New Jersey that they're going to get that legit superstar, considering a lot of the best legends from the Devils were defensive style players, or like Martin Brodeur, 94 overall. I think we would be pretty stupid to pass on this guy and take somebody like Stasny or Nieuwendyk. So Marty's going to slot in as the starting goaltender, while Freddie is going to move to the backup. 94 overall is the highest rated goaltender currently in the NHL. The greatest regular season team of all time is, of course, the Toronto Maple Leafs. Another President's Trophy win. Minnesota ended up coming in second. Colorado was up there, while the Carolina Hurricanes did not have a good season whatsoever. They ended up missing the entire playoffs as they went 37, 37, and 8. How is that even possible? They added in the best goaltender of all time. Shout out to the great one. Yet again, will have the most points, this time being 116, and the most goals is going to go to Kirill the Thrill Kaprizov. And the Colorado Avalanche will get it done. They defeat the New Jersey Devils in 6 games in the Stanley Cup Finals. They have been so far relatively quiet in the video, but they finally get it done and win a cup. They're going to be adding an NHL legend to their team, of course. Cale Makar is going to win his second Conn Smythe of his entire career. 5 goals, 27 points, and he right now is on pace to potentially be the greatest defenseman of all time. As Captain Gabriel Landeskog returns to hockey, and already is another... As Gabriel Landeskog just returned to hockey, and he's going to be able to raise the Stanley Cup once again as the Avalanche go all the way. Jack Hughes was actually the best player in the postseason. He and Cale Makar had the same amount of points. Jesper Bratt was very good. Gretzky, even though he only played 16 games, the guy had 22 points. Timo Meier did his job. Nylander wasn't too bad. McKinnon, low-key, I mean, he did have 13 goals, which is good. But I don't know. I just expected more points than 20. The dude was only a point per game. Colorado now gets to add a legend from the Colorado Avalanche. How fitting is that? We got to go with Patrick Waugh. The guy's a 96 overall. I know goalies haven't really helped out the team so far in the videos. You know what? Screw the goaltenders. Joe Sakic, welcome to Colorado once again, a 94 overall centerman. They are going to rock out with a top line of Joe Sakic, Nathan McKinnon, and Valerie Nichushkin. Keep the white liquor away from this guy. Typical top of the NHL as per usual. It is the Leafs, yet they don't have a third Stanley Cup in this video. Minnesota would be number 2, the Devils 3, and Colorado number 4. Gretzky still dominating dominating individually, most points at 117, and the most goals at 54. And yet the Leafs still can't win another Stanley Cup. I don't know what's going on. These guys might be the biggest frauds of all time. The Minnesota Wild are Stanley Cup champions yet again for the first time in the Dominick Hasek era. They're going to defeat the Carolina Hurricanes in 6 games in the Stanley Cup Finals, and the trend of the road team winning Game 6 will continue as we got Teemu Selanne winning the Conn Smythe, 15 goals, 27 points. I guess in this universe, Minnesota is not a poverty franchise. They got their Stanley Cups, they got their legends now on their roster, as they have been a powerhouse in this video. Thank God Teemu Selanne is on that team. 15 goals, 27 points. Kaprizov had 26. Nikolai Ehlers was solid for Carolina. Aho was decent. Matthews actually showed up come playoff time. That's how you know we're playing NHL 25. Individually, I don't see anybody really reaching the heights of Wayne Gretzky. Morrissey's going to take home the Norris, the Conn Smythe to Teemu Selanne, and the Vezina to Connor Hellebuck. The biggest fraud currently in the National Hockey League. There, I said it. Minnesota's going to have the luxury of adding another legend to their franchise, maybe even win another Stanley Cup, but the bad news is they're going to be choosing from the Columbus Blue Jackets. Adam Foote literally is their best player at an 88 overall. He's a defenseman, but of course, we got to go with Rick Nash. Sniper, scored one of the greatest goals of all time, added to the Minnesota Wild, and who knows, maybe they become the first team that will go back-to-back. The top 6 is very good. Selanne, Rossi, Kaprizov, obviously one of the best first lines in the entire league. They got Nash alongside Eriksson Ek and Matt Zuccarello. Or even if we want to, we could throw Matt Boldy up there and then go Goodrow, Tarasenko, and Zook as the forward core of Minnesota. I can't believe I'm saying this, but honestly looks very good. I don't know, even with Minnesota having an absolutely historic season for at least their franchise, the Maple Leafs are going to win 61 games and probably only going to win about 6 or 7 come playoff time. Wayne Gretzky again proving why his nickname is the Great One. 65 goals, the most in the entire NHL. Although Nathan MacKinnon was pretty close. The man had 62. But points-wise, nobody was even in the same realm. 137 on the season. MacKinnon had 122 as well as William Nylander. And we actually had very high scoring in the NHL this season. How many players put up over 100 points? There's like 13 or 14? Well, we got the Toronto Maple Leafs yet again winning another Stanley Cup in the video. They beat Utah. How did the Mammoth make the Cup Finals? And I guess the Leafs are lucky enough to select another NHL legend, even though they got the great one. Nylander, dear God, buddy. 43 points in 24 games. Gretzky had 42, Matthews 33, and John Tavares had 26. Yeah, safe to say, these guys were absolutely incredible, as we are going to land on the Minnesota Wild. So not a great catalog to choose from, but not like the Toronto Maple Leafs need that much help. I guess Jared Spurgeon is going to be the guy. I don't even like, there's nobody here. Nicholas Backstrom, Rolison, Jason Zucker, Mikael Granlund. You know what? Screw it. I'm going to go with Jason Pominville. 80. Nah, I'm not going to do that to the Leafs. That would be honestly insanely disrespectful. Not the greatest decor in the entire league, but an 87 Spurgeon is not bad to add alongside Morgan Riley. They got McCabe and Carlo, Tanev and Ekman Larson, and they got 2 or 3 Stanley Cups already. Honestly, I've kind of lost count at this point. The President's Trophy streak will live on. Yet again, the Leafs are the best team in the regular season as they win 54, 21, and 7. Gretzky is going to have a down season, but still have the most points in the league at 111. We got Nylander, who had 108, Nathan MacKinnon, 107, Jack Hughes having a brand new career high. I think the more impressive thing is the fact that Jack Hughes played 82 games in the regular season. The man is always hurt. Shout out to MacKinnon and Matthews as they tie for the lead in goals, both having 52. This is going to be the second to last season of the video, so instead of just giving the Cup champion a legend, anybody that makes the conference finals, all 4 teams are going to grab one legend to add to their franchise for the grand finale, which means Colorado, Vegas, New York, and Carolina all are going to be grabbing a legend, and the winner who wins the Cup, I'm going to give them 2. We got to give them some sort of a boost for actually getting it done. The Colorado Avalanche will do it. They are going to capture the Stanley Cup on home ice, becoming the first team in the video to do so as they defeated the Hurricanes in a quick 5-game series in the Stanley Cup Finals. They're going to be the lucky team and the only team that's going to be able to add 2 brand new legends to this franchise. Obviously, everybody in the top 4. I'm going to be generous and give them a legend themselves, but Nathan MacKinnon, the Colorado Avalanche, will reign supreme as the Stanley Cup champions. Shout out Joe Sakic as he leads another Stanley Cup champion in Colorado. He had 15 goals and 30 points and still did not win the Conn Smythe. All right, we're going to start out with the winners first. So Colorado will get 2 spins on the wheel and then 2 legends added to their franchise. The first of which will be a Pittsburgh Penguins legend. And then they're going to land on Chicago. So Pittsburgh and Chicago, the 2 teams that Colorado may choose from. Adding in Lemieux, another centerman to this team, wouldn't be too bad. I know they got Joe Sakic. Yager, unfortunately, is 2 overalls less than Mario. So we are going to add him to the team, and then we are going to be moving on to the Chicago Blackhawks. Giving them a 92 overall, Chris Chelios, a 2A defenseman to add and bolster their D-core. Next up is, unfortunately, the Vegas Golden Cheaters, as we're going to be adding a legend to their team. Never had a legend play for them before, but I have a feeling that is going to change from the Pittsburgh Penguins. We already took Lemieux from the franchise, so Jaromir Jagr, unfortunately, will have to join Vegas. We now head to the Eastern Conference, the New York Rangers, who did make the finals, but they lost to Carolina. They get to go to New Jersey and not grab Tony Soprano, but instead a legend from the Devils. Scott Niedermayer, you are the newest member of the New York Rangers. It doesn't sound right at all. It really doesn't. And finally, the last legend that will be added to the National Hockey League will go to Carolina, and he's going to be from the Ottawa Senators. The Big Z's Zdeno Chara at a 91 overall, nail on the D-core of the Carolina Hurricanes. That is one scary-ass defense core. I'm really looking forward to seeing Mario Lemieux suit up in a Colorado Avalanche sweater. The man's a 96 overall with a 97 McKinnon and 91 Martin Necas. Not even mentioning Chris Chelios on the back end. That D-core is filthy. And then, of course, between the pipes, Mackenzie Blackwood, 89 overall. These guys are probably the odds-on favorites to win the Stanley Cup in the final season. I'm not too shocked to see Colorado sitting at the top, although Toronto's President's Trophy streak will end. Minnesota's going to be up there. Vegas had a very good season. Toronto actually wasn't even that great. Nathan McKinnon's going to have a historic season, 134 points, most in the NHL, while Mario Lemieux, no big deal. The man just put up 73 tucks. And in typical EA anticlimactic fashion, we got Edmonton and Tampa Bay in the Cup Finals. Both teams I've not even touched at all throughout the entire video. Well, I guess the good news is I get to see my Edmonton Oilers win the Stanley Cup in the final season. Too bad they were not able to add any legends to the franchise anymore, at least. But in the final year of the video, we get it done in Edmonton on home ice. Rewrite the wrong of the past 2 Stanley Cup Finals against Florida. Leon Draisaitl is going to be the Conn Smythe winner. He had 30 points, 10 of them being goals. Overall, this was a very fun video to make. We got to see a bunch of legends come back to the NHL. Some teams dominate, some teams are absolute no-shows, but the Edmonton Oilers, they get it done in the final year, baby. Nathan McKinnon will take home the Ted Lindsay, Art Ross and Hart Trophy. Maurice Richard will go to Mario Lemieux. Norris to Evan Bouchard. Leon the Conn Smythe. Jeremy Swayman the Vezina. And the Selke will go to Wayne Gretzky. Well, that is going to do it for this video. If you guys did enjoy it, make sure you leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel. I would like to say thank you all for watching. And until next time, don't be silly. Wrap your willy.